In 1821, Peru became independent. The independence was declared by Don José de San Martin. In 1824, Simón Bolívar recognized the independence of Peru, and right now Peru lives in a period of economic development, a good growth rate never previously achieved, and after a few periods of recession and crisis and even a military dictatorship in the middle of the 20th century, they are just now starting to overcome all of them. In a tourism perspective, Machu Picchu has been recognized as one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. Hi, my name is Cassiana. I am part of the group that is going to talk about Peru. And to start talking about this country, we are going to give a little introduction on its history, some things that have happened recently in the history of this country. As we all know, the history of a country is too long and the history of Peru is too rich. So this is just an introduction of a little topics. To start, we are going to divide history and ancient civilizations, Hispanic invasion, and the post-independence Peru. To start talking about ancient civilizations, contrary to popular belief, the history of Peru doesn't start with the Inca Empire. Before that, many millennia before the establishment of the Inca Empire, there were other civilizations like the Caral civilization that is known as the oldest civilization of the American continent, and it's contemporary of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. There's also the Chimu empire. Is sort of the first empire of Peru and established around the coast. There is the Paracas, known as the first great desert people, the Morais, the first actual regional empire as we come to know today, the Chachopias, known as Men of the Clouds. They dominated around the Amazonic Peru. And the Chimu, they were known for the exquisite pottery and complex irrigation system. But as we all know, the most famous and influential civilization that established in Peru was the Inca Empire. The Incas were the largest empire ever seen in the Americas and one of the largest in the world. The Incas are different of other empires. They didn't destroy every single people they've encountered. They assimilated their culture and their ways, and they created a connective network of roads around their territory, which was like years in front of what any other society and civilization was doing back then. And they spoke the Quechua language, which is until today one of the most widespread indigenous language in Peru. In the year 1532, Francisco Pizarro captured the Inca Atahualpa in Cajamarca, marking the decline of the Inca Empire. At this point, the Inca Empire wasn't very, how can I say? At this point, the Inca Empire was very fragmented, so the Spanish conquistadores used that against them to infiltrate them and conquer them. And this man, Francisco Pizarro, is credited as the main the main conqueror of the Inca Empire. For over 300 years, the Peru stayed as a colony of Spain, and in late 18th century, there were successive rebellions of indigenous uprisings, and one of those uprisings, led by Tupac Amaru II, was responsible for the start of the Creole movement, who was the turning point and making Peru independent again. The post-independence period of Peru. In 1821, Peru was declared an independent country by Don José de San Martin, and also recognized, and then in 1824 was recognized by Simón Bolívar as an independent country. Around the time of the War of Independence, and there are several uprisings there were.
Hello, good evening. My name is Adriano Nunes da Silva, and I speak about some geographic aspect of Peru. Peru is a country that is located in the western and the central part of South America. Its territory borders Ecuador and Colombia to the north, Brazil and Bolivia to the east, and Chile to the south, covering an area of 4,096,204 square miles. Additionally, the Peruvian maritime domains cover as many as 200 nautical miles in the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean borders Peru west, and Peru is a third largest South America country and the 20th largest in the world. The government in Peru is a unitary semi-presidential republic. Your president called Martin Vizcarra, and your vice president called Mercedes Arauz, and your prime minister called Salvador del Solar. In the next slide, we have an information curiosity. Peru is larger than Spain and France combined, and your official language is Spanish, but have co-official language. For example, Quechua, and the other languages, indigenous language. If dialects are considered, Peru have 72 languages. 82.6% of population speak Spanish. In the next slide, I speak about the climate. Peru is divided in 3 distinct areas. We have a coast, and mountain, and the jungle. In the jungle, we call Amazon rainforest. 59% of the national territory, Amazon rainforest. In this area, 12% of the population live. A region covered by tropical vegetation and called the Peruvian Amazon. The largest natural reserves in the country are located there. Highlands. Highlands or Andes Mountain represent 30% of the country area. 22% of the population live here or there. And the highlands region dominated by the Andes with the highest point reaching 6,780 meters or 22.4 feet at the pinnacle of Mountain Huascarán. And the coast. The coast represents 11% of the national territory, and 52% of the population live there in the coast. In the coast, have close to 3,000 kilometers of deserts, wide beaches, and fertile valleys.
Now, let's talk about for the cultural and historic tourism. The culture of Peru and different expressions such as art, music, and food have always been characterized by a mixture of Hispanic and local cultures from South America. With a rich and spectacular culture, is a country that is proud of its stories, customs, traditions, and civilizations. Not for less, the country was home to some of the oldest civilizations in South America, such as pre-Inca cultures such as the Moche, Ariari, and Nazca, which emerged around 700 before Christ. So, Mena National Park, a World Cultural Heritage Site, is one of the areas with greatest biodiversity on the planet. Is located in the department of Cusco and Madre de Dios, including the entire basin on the River Meno. Chan Archaeology Area. The Chan the Cham Kingdom, with Chan and its capital, reached its apogee in the 15th century, not long before falling to the Incas. The planning of this huge city, the largest in pre-Columbian America, reflects a strict political and social strategy, marked by cities division into 9 citadels or palaces forming autonomous units. Historic center of Lima. It is the oldest region in Peru after the arrival of Europeans. Lima was founded in the year 1535 by the Spanish explorer Francisco Pizarro and was called the City of Kings. Today, the area where Lima was born is one of the most visited tourist spots in the Peruvian capital. The historical center of Lima was considered a World Heritage Site by UNESCO thanks to its more than 600 monuments and historical sites of the main sites of Lima. The first tourist attraction for the historical center of Lima is the beautiful Cathedral of Lima. The represented cathedral is 30 on erected in the land in which it had its first construction in 1535, and due to numerous earthquakes, repairs, and intervention were made throughout the centuries. The interior of the Cathedral of Lima is rich in details that range from Baroque to neoclassic architecture, with exposed paintings in sculptures depicting religious images. Last, Machu Picchu Historic Sanctuary. The mystery city of the Incas mixed the real and the imaginary in perfect dose of nature, culture, and mysticism. Cited in its discovery in 1911 by the North American Ryan Bigger, Machu Picchu is considered one of the most important archaeological and architectural monuments in the world. The city was built at 2,400 meters altitude, on top of a large mountain with a basis that reached 400 meters and was an area of 1 square kilometer. Let's talk about for tourism for adventure. The White Mountain Range in the city of Paris is no mountaineering and one of the most beautiful mountain formations in the Andes. The Cordillera is the city west of Peru, for 400 kilometers from Lima, and transportation by bus from the capital is frequent, with some daily departures. Think about the Tambopara River. Is this is the most incredible river in Peru. The river runs through most of the country in new habitat and requires complex logistics and prior coordination of authorization with heads of corresponding natural protected areas. At Pira, perhaps it's the Peruvian beach more intentionally known was become the main destination for surfers, especially at the end of the year when the sea current creates hurricane waves. The shallow depth and clarity of the waters make it suitable for underwater fishing, and its geography with different ecological landscape on the land, in the charm of those who love nature.